I'm Graham Robertson. I'm the Chief Exec for WorkingRite. I've been with WorkingRite now since February this year. Previous to that, I worked for a number of different charities over the last 10 to 15 years. I've been in various different senior roles at organisations like Amnesty International, Plan International, and more recently I was a director at an organisation called Volunteering Matters. Prior to my career in the charity sector, when I left school I was a professional footballer, so I was very fortunate to play both in Scotland and England over a period of about 10 or 12 years. I played with clubs like Robertson and Millwall during that time, and there was loads of stuff that I learned from my football career in terms of working in a team and being part of a team that's been transferable into my career in the charity sector as well. And yeah, I'm just really excited to be in my current role at WorkingRite. I've had a number of senior roles at previous organisations. It definitely is different being the CEO. I think ultimately, the buck stops at you in terms of decisions and bigger things as an organisation. But my style really is to include the wider leadership team and actually the whole organisation. There's only 26 of us currently at WorkingRite, so I feel it's important that everybody has a voice in what we're doing and where we're trying to go. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey being CEO for the first time, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I think the most rewarding part for me is getting to see the impact of the work. Actually, one of the first things I did when I took over at WorkingRite as the Chief Exec is I went and visited all of our different projects across the country. So we're working in 5 local authorities in Aberdeen, Edinburgh, Glasgow, East Ayrshire and Argyll and Bute. And I felt it was really important for me to meet all of our staff that worked on the ground, but also just to meet the young people and understand the real impact of the work that WorkingRite's doing. And what I found was that we're a really unique organisation in terms of the relationships that we build with young people, in terms of meeting the young people where they are, but also making sure that we sustain, long-term outcomes with them as well. So yeah, I think the most rewarding bit for me is that bit, just being close to the work and seeing the impact of the work. In terms of football career, I think the biggest thing I learned in football career and being in a dressing room and working with teams was the whole element of being part of a team, and both how to be part of a team as an individual, so how to play your part as an individual in terms of hard work and work ethic and all of that sort of stuff, but also recognising the strengths of others and recognising that you're better as a collective than you are as one individual. So I think I've been able to learn a lot in terms of management and leadership styles. I've had all kinds of different managers and leaders that coached and inspired me during my football career. So I guess trying to take some of the best bits from each of them has been really enjoyable. So for me, the exciting bit at the moment, looking at the next 3 to 5 years, is how can we make our service more available? How can we make sure we're funded in a sustainable way that will allow us to do that? And ultimately it's going to be driven by need and the need of the young people, right? So again, referencing, I spoke earlier about the fact that when I first started in the role, I actually visited all of our projects and visited all of the different areas that we worked in. And one of the big questions I asked was, if funding wasn't an issue and if we actually had the ability to go and deliver the work, are there more young people in your area that could benefit from our service? And everybody said yes. So that said to me that there is still a greater need out there for the work that we do. And I would like us to try and fulfil that as much as we can, both in the areas we are currently, but actually also looking beyond that to wider and beyond the areas in Scotland that maybe we don't currently work in. So I think a big thing for me in choosing WorkingRite as an organisation, I've always been really passionate about young people and young people's journeys. I went to a school in Fife, in Glenrothes, that whilst it had a real mix of people going to the school, there was definitely a mix of people from less advantaged and disadvantaged backgrounds and slightly more affluent areas as well. And I was always struck by the fact that some people didn't get the same opportunities as others. I was very fortunate, as we've touched upon, I was good at football and sport gave me opportunities. I moved to London at 19 years of age and that opened up a whole new world for me as well. But I'm a great believer that there's talent everywhere, there's just not opportunity everywhere. So for me, that connection to the cause and young people and what WorkingRite do goes right back to my own journey and where I started out in life. And I've always been really passionate about social mobility and seeing that everybody should be given sort of equal opportunities to thrive. And WorkingRite does that in spades. So, it felt like a very good cause and a very good organisation for me to join. And I guess the other thing that attracted me to the role was kind of the stage that WorkingRite were on in their journey. I could definitely see that there were skills and experience that I was going to bring to the role that were actually going to help WorkingRite as well. So that combination of it being a cause I was really passionate about, but actually also feeling like it was something I could make an impact on and change and help grow, is why I was really attracted to the role. We're currently in a 3-year partnership with Aberdeen Charitable Foundation. They were really interested in the school age part of our work and what we're doing with what's currently our Right to Work pillar of the organisation. And they were really interested in the fact that we bridge the gap between education and the world of work, so young people can join our programmes at school age, but they can also progress into a placement programme once they turn 16 and they're leaving school as well. So making that connection with businesses and thinking about their, in the Aberdeen Charitable Foundation's case, we align with their sustainable goals and with their corporate social responsibility strategy. So they see us as their social mobility partner and the ability to deliver what they want to deliver in the community. So for me, it's about being very clear about what we can bring to a partnership and what we can bring to businesses and organisations in terms of that partnership, but also really understanding what the business wants to get out of that partnership too. And if you can find that true partnership and have aligned goals, then that's when you can start to make some sustained change. So we are constantly looking at who else is out there that might have an interest in investing more in young people and communities and making change in the local communities in which they work. And then we'll have a conversation about how we can build better partnerships with them from there. There are a couple of bits of advice that I sort of carry with me, and I have carried with me for a long time. So when I started out in the world of football, you may be aware that quite often when you're a young footballer, you essentially go through an apprenticeship role. So I was on a YTS, a youth training scheme in Scotland as a footballer, and as part of that, your job was to look after your specific players, clean boots, clean the terracing. There was all kinds of different jobs we did around the stadium as young players that meant we were there 9 to 5 most days, well, often earlier than that as well. And I had a specific coach that led us at that time that always talked about that if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing right. And what he meant by that was essentially if you were going to take on any task, so whether it was cleaning boots, whether it was painting the stadium, whether it was sweeping the terracing, whatever it was, he would always come round and reinforce the fact that you need to make sure you've done that job right and maintain standards and maintain a sort of work ethic within yourself. So I think for me, the biggest thing I try and say and speak to young people about is that there's no wrong path to success. Success isn't linear. We don't just, well, most people don't just go to school, go to uni, graduate and end up in their dream job. And there are lots of different paths to success. Mine being a really good example of that as well. I didn't necessarily know when I left school, when I was playing football, when I was fortunate enough to get paid to do something that I loved, that I was going to end up being the CEO of a charity 30 years later that was working with young people, right? And the journey to that there was various different elements to my journey along the way. So I think that I always say to young people, try and find things that you're interested in, try and find things that actually inspire you, and then how can you start to make your job have elements of stuff that you're interested in and inspire you, because that's what's going to give you longevity. And whatever career that is for you, it doesn't really matter what that interest or thing is. We spend more of our lives at work and working than we do doing anything else in our lifetime. So, as much as possible, if you can try and find a way of making your career something that inspires you or you enjoy or will help you get out of bed and help you be motivated, then you're much more likely to be successful in life. And the other big thing I would say is just keep going and keep trying. You might not find the right thing the first time or the second time or the third time, and that might be a journey that takes you through difficulties and challenges and learnings and all of that sort of stuff, and that's all okay. It's okay to fail and not be successful in the first career you try or the first job that you try, because actually if you learn from that and go, okay, well, what was it about that I didn't like or didn't enjoy, therefore do I need to get more of this in my life, so you can find the things that you do enjoy.